Got a chunk of big leaf maple here. Stabilized it with a bit of epoxy, some glue, and some smaller cracks. Getting ready to turn it into a bowl. That's big leaf maple there. Especially with your softer and medium woods like this. Happens on harder woods too. But you gotta be really careful coming in, and I already had it happen with some big chunks that split and peeled away. Come in just little bits at a time to try to take those down until I can get again to a good circular shape. Starting to get somewhere. I did have some big chunks peel off, but that's okay. I can still work with it. So just gonna take down some of the circumference of my bowl in the end, unfortunately. It's always good and easier on your hands, and it does a better job on actually working into the wood to keep your guide really nice and close to the piece you're working. And yeah, I'm starting to get there. Might actually not lose too much after that split, looks like. As I get closer and closer to a good circular shape, and I'm starting to get there finally, I can start turning up my RPMs a little bit, getting it to go faster and faster. Depending on the wood, I want to stop around 800 for a softer wood, and with the harder and harder woods, I get up over 1,000 RPMs. This is a medium wood, so I'll probably be getting it close to 800-900 RPM in order to work on it the best I can. It's starting to look really good, actually. The overall shape that I pulled out. So now, because I'm making a tall bowl here, I'm going to start rounding the backside down to where I have my block that I'm glued to. For that, I can cut in a little bit deeper with some of these smaller guys over that bigger one. You just want to be careful with these smaller ones, as they can bite in a lot deeper, a lot faster. You might end up splitting and chipping out chunks again like that, which that's okay. I'm going to come down past that, but still, I want to be careful not to start ripping and chunking out bigger pieces and messing up the overall shape of my bowl. Probably slow down the RPMs a tiny bit. Maybe that was a little high. Alright, as you can see, I like adding a little bit of flair. I've gone in with my skew here, and I've cut the top in so that I have a nice, perfectly level lip that flares out a little bit, and it's time to start working on the inside. For that, I need to get rid of this guy so I have room to move. All right, ready to start working on the inside. Now I can come in with the smaller, my lathe chisels here, and start working that down inside of the bowl. Really important to try to hold that chisel steady though, so it doesn't bounce around too much. You feel it bouncing around a whole lot, you got to adjust your grip or tighten your grip. Otherwise you end up with a really uneven portion that you're carving into the wood. Now if you notice, it's hard to get this outside edge with that chisel, the shape of it anyways. So then I'm going to come back in with my skew, and I can use this point to just cut straight down and in, and actually cut in that inner edge that I want to see. There we go. Got a little bit of that done. Now back to this guy. All right, now is when I want to start really paying attention to the shape of my bowl. So I'm down to where it's going to be hitting this bottom curve. I want to push the center down to nearly the very bottom of that bowl, but the sides have to kind of curve inwards with it. So I got to be careful not to coming too far outwards as I go deeper into the bowl. All right, so it's getting deep. It's killing my grip to get in there and keep working the way I am, but I'm close. Still have a pretty thick chunk of wood I want to get through in there. But I'm going to shift now and use a different chisel. I'm going to come in with this swan neck rounded scraper and carefully get the bottom just right and swoop those sides to come out and meet the shape of the outside there on the inside. So I don't generally go much past the 320 or a 400 grit. I try to really get through these pretty quick. I don't want to go, 600, 1,000, 1,200 grit. From here, I'll do what is called burnishing the wood. I'll take a good handful of the shavings that I just got off that same piece, or from other stuff that's got a similar density in this wood. And then I'll crank my RPMs way back up so I'm getting to a high speed to polish. And I'll use these shavings to polish, or as I'm calling it, burnishing the wood. We got a little bit of rough going on here at the bottom. So final step out here in the shop, I need to go over to my bench sander. So to start the finishing process, I like to take my finished bowls off the lathe, and I'll actually soak them in mineral oil for at least a good hour or two. Sometimes I'll let them go all day, depending on if I still see air bubbles coming out of the wood and whatnot. This helps to ensure that they can be food grade and gives them a longevity, so they last if people keep them on their shelves. And from this point, we can see just how beautiful that grain's going to shine once everything's all done and polished up. And there we go. Big leaf maple bowl.